Good evening. Buenas noches. This is the Sherdog Radio Network preview for Noche UFC, also known as UFC Fight Night 259, Lopez versus Silva. I'm your host, Ben Duffy of Sherdog.com. With me, as usual, is Keith Schillen, the executive producer of the Sherdog Radio Network. Keith, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, my man. How you doing?
I'm doing really well. We're recording this a day later than usual, and I mean, we'll talk offline about it, but our recording day may even change coming up. But between that and the fact that we got 14 fights to dig into, I want to keep this kind of short and sweet, but I would be remiss if we didn't crap on this card a little bit before we dug into it fight by fight. Because coming out of UFC Paris, which as of when we're talking right now went down less than 48 hours ago, and pointing out what a fun card that was, even after losing Fares Zayam at the last moment, and for me just kind of calling it the model of what a UFC free fight night show on the road kind of should be, to go from that to this frankly just kind of unlucky and cursed Noche UFC, to me at least, it can't help but feel like a little bit of a drop off. Like right off the bat, I go from giving this card on paper where I am pretty sure I gave UFC Paris an A-. This is like a C- to me. It's a one fight card. Like the headliner is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
And down the card from that, there ain't a whole lot.
Yeah. It feels like a boxing card.
It really does.
Only thing that matters. And there's some prospects I like coming up. I think some fun fights. Obviously, there's a lot of like local feel with Mexican fighters and Texas fighters and stuff. But yeah, generally speaking, I go like a C.
Yeah, they generally speaking, they did a good job on the geographic / cultural end. There's a ton of Latino fighters on this card. There are American fighters that when they say, like I'm Mexican American, it ain't Tito Ortiz carrying the flag. It's people like Kelvin Gastelum that actually like are culturally pretty Mexican and like speak Spanish and stuff. And the Noche UFC type crowd can tell the difference. And that would have mattered more back when this card was going to take place in Guadalajara. That didn't happen because they couldn't get the facility finished in time. So it moves to San Antonio, which as second choice locations go is not bad. I think I asked you this when you were in Texas a couple weeks ago, but have you been to San Antonio?
No, I know. I've only been to Dallas. And then I've been to Galveston area.
Like San Antonio is fantastic.
I was in Houston for a little bit, and I've been to like Fort Worth, but I've never been to San Antonio.
But it is the largest majority Latino city north of the border. Like, it's, and just culturally it's different even from the rest of Texas. And then at the same time, there's the Alamo there. There's a lot of, US and Texas history, but yeah, good second choice for this card. Like the fans will be turning out for this one. But yeah, this card,
that would Trump in office, they better not. A whole bunch of Jose is going to say their name's John walking into the arena.
Obviously, we lost a couple major bouts / fighters from this card. We were supposed to have Rob Font versus Raul Rosas Jr. I thought that was going to be a sensational piece of matchmaking, because if you're trying to get Raul Rosas Jr. over, you want him saying chiwiwis in front of the Noche UFC crowd. Rob Font is about as highly ranked a guy as he would have that direct a route to victory against. But, Rosas Jr. fell off the card. We also lost Raquel Pennington versus Juliana Pena, and then it was going to be Pennington versus Dumas. Obviously, neither of those was probably going to be the most sensational fight, but either way, it's a probable title eliminator. So,
sure, with a name, obviously former champion, and obviously, would you say Pennington and Pena was they were doing that?
It was going to be, and then Pena withdrew, and then it was going to be Pennington versus Norma Dumont.
Did they somehow forget how bad the title fight was?
Maybe they would almost have to forget. None of those sounded like sensational matchups, but they get a little more appeal, I think, just from the who's going to be next for Kayla Harrison derby that this is now. Kind of like, well, I mean, it's the same as when Cyborg was killing people, in Strikeforce, then Invicta, then the UFC.
Right.
It made the whole division a little more interesting just because one of these women is going to go get,
I think Amanda Nunes is next, but.
Yeah. Well, next for the winner of that.
Okay.
Assuming we don't get like an immediate trilogy or Nunes winning and then immediately retiring.
Yeah.
Is that how badly I don't want to talk about this card? Man, I better pull the ripcord if we jump into these 14 fights.
Yeah, it's 14. Let's go.
All right. First up at Noche UFC is a bout that was actually bumped a month down the road. It is the Tough 33 welterweight final, which was supposed to take place at UFC 319 last month. One of the competitors was forced to withdraw. It gets pushed to this weekend's card. It is Rodrigo Sezinando versus Daniil Donchenko. Sezinando, the Brazilian, we're not exactly sure how old he is. He's 8-1 overall. This will obviously be his UFC debut, but he competed on season 33 of The Ultimate Fighter as part of Team Cormier. He fought his way to the final in pretty impressive fashion, and he's going to meet a Team Cormier teammate in the form of Donchenko. 24-year-old Ukrainian is 11-2 overall. This will, of course, be his debut as well. Odds here favor the Ukrainian pretty heavily. He's minus 240. Sezinando plus 200 coming back. Keith, obviously these are two pretty young, pretty green fighters. They're definitely fighters that are on their way up. I see two fighters that are at least good. I wouldn't be shocked if both these guys stuck around in the UFC for at least a cup of coffee, but I think Donchenko actually has the potential to be something special. I'm not necessarily calling him a future contender, but as a 24-year-old, he has some impressive physical tools and just seems to have real good instincts, like stuff that you want to see out of a guy with, right around 10 fights. He's a compact, explosive, athletic 170 pounder. It's hard to believe he fought at 155 early in his career, just with the muscle he's got on his frame now, but lots of power in his shots. And the times he was forced to work on the ground on the show, looked very capable of taking care of himself there. In the absence of too much of a scouting report on my end on either of these guys, I think Donchenko's going to win, and I think he's probably going to win hard enough that we might get a stoppage late just from accumulation of damage from him just kind of whooping up on Sezinando. Give me a round 3 TKO, ground and pound. Also considering the fact that this fight was bumped because Sezinando had a medical issue, just gives me just one more little question mark about what kind of shape he might be in for this fight. So yeah, I'm going with the favorite here. Not too much of a shock, but I do like Donchenko as a prospect.
Yeah. So when I was first looking at this fight, I was sitting there, I was like, this is a really weird fight to be on the card. I didn't realize it was the Ultimate Fighter finale. I did not watch 1 second of the Ultimate Fighter. I remember when I was in college, I used to play in like a men's, college basketball league. Not we weren't making the Final Four or anything like that. But I remember
intramural type thing.
I remember how excited I was for the Ultimate Fighter show, and he started at 9, and the league would always end at 8:30, and I'd be rushing home speed. And this is before DVRs and all that and streaming. And I was rushing home to get on Spike TV to watch the Ultimate Fighter show. And fast forward all these years later, I didn't watch a single second of it. And then you get guys like this, Sezinando. What I've seen in this guy, I didn't get to dig into this fight too much. Sezinando, he's a wild striker on the feet. There's a lot of bunch of hard, heavy hooks. I'd say he has decent power. But mostly he wants to get the fight to the ground. He'll try to wrestle, but he isn't really good at it. He'll kind of just dive in for takedowns and not set him up. If he gets the fight to the ground, I do like his ground and pound. He has some high level grappling. He has a submission threat, so that's obviously the advantage he'll have. Donchenko, like you said, he's only 24 years old, so I like that. It's hard to grasp his skills because he just knocks everyone out so quickly. So I usually like to see a 25-minute fight, see when things get hard, how they react. That's not the case. He just knocks guys out. So a southpaw kickboxer, he darts off the center line really well. His whole body off the center line really well. I like that. He cuts angles with his shots, so I like that. He's got good power, a lot of lead kicks, like a lot of front kicks. So as far as prediction, I haven't got to watch too much film of either, so I have zero confidence in my pick. If Sezinando gets the fight down, he could easily win. But I think his wrestling's ugly. I think Donchenko's going to stuff some of those takedowns, and then I'm going to go with the youth. I think he knocks him out. I think he does in the very first round. Give me Donchenko by first round knockout.
Next up on the Noche UFC undercard is a women's bantamweight matchup, in fact, between Montserrat Rendon and the debuting Alice Pereira. Rendon, the 36-year-old Mexican, is 6-1 overall. She is 1-1 in the UFC. She's coming into this fight off of her first career loss. It was a year and a half ago at UFC on ESPN, Hebus versus Namajunas, where she dropped a unanimous decision to Dariela Železniakova. Before that, you have to go all the way back 2 years ago for her UFC debut, where she won a split decision over Tamires Vidal. So she's been on the shelf for a while. She's getting back in the cage, looking to get back in the win column, and she is going to welcome to the octagon a woman barely half her age in the form of Pereira. 19-year-old Brazilian will be the youngest fighter in the UFC as soon as she steps into that octagon. She is a perfect 6-0 as a professional. Fought most recently back in December at a regional event in Brazil. It was a title fight. It was the first time she had been past, I think, the first round, or she might have been to the second round once in her entire career. But went all 5 rounds and won the decision. So she comes in, will at least be the answer to a trivia question. But in terms of her upside as an actual prospect, she's at least enough of a prospect that she is currently the betting favorite. She's minus 160. Rendon is, she's minus 160. Rendon plus 130 as the underdog. Keith, I'm going to flip this to you. It seems like every other week or so this year, we're getting a new contender for biggest age gap in a UFC fight in the modern era. This is another one where the gap is 16 or 17 years. It's almost half her age, like I said. What do you think of Pereira as a prospect? Because I already have a feeling. I know how you feel about Rendon, but who do you think gets it done here?
Yeah, I mean, this is an intriguing fight. I mean, if you got to come in the UFC, this is the type of fighter you should get tested with. It's not too big of a step up in competition. And it's, I mean, compared to who she's been fighting, it is. But I mean, just, if you get fighting the UFC, this is the lowest level. This is the absolute entry for somebody. Rendon, I mean, she's a very physical specimen. I mean, you look at her, she's absolutely jacked. And that's kind of where it ends skill-wise. I mean, on the feet, she's very raw. Just this very basic striker. Throws jabs, follows a 1-2, but hands are kind of slow. She has some power, and she's very heavy on her front foot, so that gives her power. But she gets her legs kicked out. I mean, you go against like Tamires Vidal. Vidal just like it was kicking her legs over and over again. She likes to close the distance and get the fight to the ground, but she isn't a wrestler. She really struggles to get the fight to the ground. Her best chance is kind of like catching a kick and just bull rushing forward. She wants to grapple, but she has no submission wins on her career, so I don't know if she's that good. The thing about Alice Pereira is when I watch film on her, like every single video, it started with she is not related to Alex Pereira. It's like, like that is a super common last name in the Brazilian world. Like, if a fighter comes in and their last name is Jones, you don't have to say they're not related to John Jones. Like,
so some like white dude comes into the UFC. Like, Brad Jones, any relation? No.
She's hard to get footage on, as she has fought in some really, really small organizations. I mean, her last fight, I'm not joking, it was in a gym class. Like it was that small. I mean, I think half the court was being shared by like the girls volleyball team or something. It's like, I watched one video, and this is not a joke. I watched one video that was clearly taken with someone's phone. It was so far away, I couldn't tell which fighter she was. Now she's only 19, so obviously I like that. She's very big for the weight class. She's athletic. She uses good footwork to avoid shots, to avoid opponent's attacks. Nice snap on her shots. She throws all her strikes hard. She can get wild. There's a lot of looping punches. She will throw some big combos. I like all right, for example, I say she throws big combos. She'll do like 5, 6, 8 punch combinations, but a lot of that has more to do with her opponent. Like she just doesn't respect them. She has shown good power for a 19-year-old. She does like going airborne a lot. You'll see a lot of flying knees, a lot of Superman punches. She uses her size well in the clinch and look for some takedowns, kind of like clinch takedowns. She needs to be better at advancing position on the ground. She kind of stalls. I shouldn't say stalls. She stays in someone's guard. She will be busy with the ground and pound. She's a weak defensive wrestler, and I'm worried about a gas tank. She slowed down pretty early. I mean, I watched her last fight. She slowed down in a fight that she was clearly way more skilled in. So I will say this: anybody that has confidence in this pick, they have to be lying, because I have no clue how good Pereira can be, or how good she is, I should say. The one thing I am sure of is that Rendon isn't good. So I'm basically betting on the unknown. I'll say that Pereira has the advantage on the feet. I say she hits harder. I'm not going to give her the stoppage. I'll say she just cruises victory. Give me Pereira by decision.
Yeah, not a whole lot to add to that for me. Rendon is just not good. Like, at her best when she first got to the UFC, just wasn't that good. You said it, big and strong, but not as athletic as you would think she is. She's kind of like lumbering and slow. Physically strong when she gets her hands on somebody, but it doesn't translate to punching or kicking power particularly. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know how much upside Alice Pereira has, but her physical tools are already substantially beyond what Rendon has to offer. Plus, there's the 17-year age gap. So Pereira might actually be better than she was 6 months ago. It would be hard to say that about Rendon, especially considering that she's been missing time with injuries. I'm going to say Pereira gets it done as well here. Give me Pereira in probably a decision that's dominant to start with, and it will be interesting to see if she slows down as the fight goes along, maybe to the point that Rendon can take advantage. But I think Pereira is going to at least have 2 rounds socked away before that becomes an issue. Men's flyweights are up next at Noche UFC as Alessandro Costa welcomes late notice opponent Alden Coria to the UFC. Costa, the 29-year-old Brazilian, is 14-4 overall. He's 2-2 since joining the UFC as a veteran of Season 6 of Dana White's Contender Series, where he won his fight but was not immediately signed. But since he's been in the UFC, he has alternated losses and wins. He's coming in off a win. He fought most recently at UFC 301 back in May, where he knocked out Kevin Borjas in the second round. So he's going to look to break that pattern of alternating wins and losses and win 2 in a row for the first time in his UFC run. He had been scheduled to take on Edgar Jairez. Jairez was forced to withdraw, and in steps former Fury FC flyweight champ from my very neck of the woods here, Coria. 27-year-old from Houston is 10-3 with 1 no contest overall. This will be his UFC debut, as I mentioned, but he fought back in May. It was his fight to get back on the campaign trail for a title shot. He won the Fury flyweight title in January. It was overturned when he popped for weed. I mean, make of that what you will, but the fight got overturned. He gave up the belt, and he was probably going to be in line to fight for the belt again, by the end of this year. But instead, he gets the call directly to the big show. Needless to say, he is not favored to do well in this debut. Costa is tied for the biggest favorite on the card. He is minus 450. Coria is plus 350 coming back. Keith, I'm interested in your take on Costa really more than anything. Like, I feel like I have a pretty good handle on Alden Coria. Just, I've seen most of his career fights. I've been kind of following him. Certainly since he became a contender a year or 2 ago, but Alessandro Costa has 4 fights in the UFC and 1 on Dana White's Contender Series, and I still don't know if he's good or not. So help me out.
And did you say he's the biggest favorite, or Coria is the biggest favorite?
No, Costa. Costa is tied for the biggest favorite on the card. Yeah.
So what does that say about Coria? If you know if this guy's good and he's the biggest favorite on the card. Yeah. I mean, obviously, he hasn't fought enough. I mean, I think his last fight, you said he got canceled, right? Or his last scheduled fight got canceled. I feel like
well, I mean, Costa fought back in May. It's not been that bad.
Oh, was there one that got canceled or something? I may have mixed
Um,
up my fighters. I'm sorry. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So he's a short and stocky kind of guy, pretty jacked. He fights in spurts. He'll lull, and then suddenly he explodes forward with big power shots. His output has been inconsistent, but that what happens when you have a guy who fights that style. When he is attacking, he throws big combos. He loves to like hold his ground and throw down in the pocket. Throws a lot of hard hooks. He loads up a lot, so he's kind of looking for to end the fight with every single blow. He does hit hard though. I like his body work. He throws some hard calf kicks. He destroyed Kevin Bojas with leg kicks, which was nice to see. He's a decent wrestler. I still categorize him more of a grappler than a wrestler. Coria, as nice as this guy bump into the UFC, he's pretty well rounded. I mean, you look at his record. I think he's even for knockouts and subs. He's a fundamentally sound striker. He keeps everything tight inside. He changes his stance mid combo, which I'm a big fan of. Though he is he moves that when he's attacking, but defensively he's a stationary target. He stays right in front of his foe. He does slip punches well. I like that. He likes slip in and then counter with like uppercuts, which you don't see often. He has some power. That's because he really steps into his shots. He will look for takedowns, but I definitely wouldn't say he's a wrestler. But if he gets it down, he's got 4 subs on his record. So I think Corey is a good addition to the UFC. Like, I don't think he has a high ceiling or anything like that. But I think Costa's too much for him in his UFC debut. I see Costa kicking his legs a lot. I think he's being too fast for him. I think he actually has the power advantage too. I expect him to land some big shots to hurt Coria. I don't think he finishes them, but give me Costa by decision.
I like the breakdown of Costa in particular. Coria, the thing that stands out about him locally, and certainly the UFC booth will bring this up. He is the longtime primary training partner of Josh Van. They've been teammates forever. While Van was still on his way up, Coria would sometimes fight at 135 just so they wouldn't be running into each other. But Coria won the Fury flyweight title, a year or two after Van left Fury. So, but I'm not saying he's the next Josh Van, but he is a guy that definitely comes from the same school. They are both Daniel Pineda proteges. They're, good boxers that do like to go to the body. But yeah, different body type. But Coria is a bit of a taller, leaner guy. He's not the athlete Van is. I do think he'll stick around. He's already a good fighter, and he's one who's been improving over the last year or 3. But I do think Costa will be too much for him. It'll be interesting for as long as they go at it on the feet. I think things will be pretty evenly matched on the feet, and I could see Coria having some good success there. But for as much as you mentioned that Costa is more of a grappler than a really technical offensive wrestler, I do suspect he's going to be able to get Coria down, especially if he starts chewing up his legs over the first round and a half. And on the ground, I could see him giving Coria trouble. Coria, he has some great submission wins on his record, but it's a lot of reactive stuff in scrambles. I think Costa, if he takes Coria down, is just going to be too much. He'll set up position on top, beat him up, maybe actually put him in trouble there. I'm going to say it makes it to the final horn as well, but Costa just wearing Coria out on the ground late, before, after maybe doing some work with leg kicks wouldn't shock me either, like getting a sub or a TKO late, but I'm going to say it goes to a decision as well. Middleweights are up next at UFC Fight Night 259 as Zach Reese looks to defend the soil of his native state against Sedriques Dumas. Reese, the 31-year-old from Shiner, Texas, trading out of Houston, is 9-2 overall. He is 3-2 since joining the UFC out of season 7 of Dana White's Contender Series. He's fought twice this year already. Fought most recently back in May, where he picked up a unanimous decision over Dusko Todorovic. That got him back in the win column after a pretty brutal handling at the hands of Azamat Bakov back in January. So he's looking for his second win in a row in the UFC. In order to do so, he'll need to get past Dumas. 30-year-old Floridian is 10-3 overall. He's 3-3 since joining the UFC out of season 6 of the Contender Series. He fought most recently back in April at UFC 314, got knocked out in the first round by Michal Oleksiejczuk. He's had a fight canceled / postponed since then because he couldn't get out of Florida because of parole. I wish I were joking about that. At any rate, assuming he makes it to the octagon on Saturday, he is not favored to leave with the win, as Reese is minus 240, Dumas plus 200 as your underdog. It's interesting to me that Reese is such a big favorite here, because I think there are a lot of similarities between these guys. They're both tall, lanky middleweights who, I mean, they would prefer a striking battle. Reese is happy with it anywhere. Dumas, to me, definitely prefers an outside striking battle where he can use his kicks and his reach to kind of hit and not get hit. And they're both opportunistic when it comes to submission. You know, like they both love the guillotine and actually have success with it, but neither one of them is what I'd call like really a great wrestler. And Dumas's grappling defense is terrible, but like in broad strokes, they're pretty similar. And while I think Reese is a better fighter, and I think Reese is probably going to win, and on a personal level, I certainly hope he wins. I like Reese. I like his coach. I don't like the Dumases in the UFC. Having said all that, if you just ask me straight up who's going to win this fight, I'll say probably Reese. If you were asking me to bet money on it, there's no way I'm touching Reese at minus 240. Just we've seen what it looks like when Zachary loses now. He's an exciting offensive fighter who leaves himself open defensively, and thus far has had durability issues. His 2 losses saw him get just slammed senseless, and then his second UFC loss, just there was no recovering once Bakov started to hit him cleanly. So that's why I say, like, Sedriques Dumas could absolutely do that to him. There's one thing he does. It is hit hard, and Dumas gives himself his best chance to win with the skills and gifts he has. So, you know, I'm not putting money on Reese at minus 240 when Dumas could rock him with one head kick and the whole thing's over in 2.5 minutes. I'm saying this makes it past that point, and at some point, I do think it's going to become about the ground game. When these guys run into each other, again, neither of them is a great defensive wrestler, and neither of them is really a great offensive wrestler, but I think Reese is a better offensive wrestler than Dumas is a defensive wrestler. And when Reese does get to set up shop from guard, he's heavy on top. He hits hard. I think that's how this ends. Give me a Reese by 3rd round TKO via ground and pound.
I like how you said that one thing that Dumas does good is he hits hard. It's like that's because that guy probably showed up with brass knuckles on or some shit. Like that guy is such a piece of shit. I mean, we've talked at length how bad of a person he is. Yes. That said, I don't like him much better as a fighter. He's a big guy. I said he's very big for the weight class. On the feet, he's very long, lengthy kind of kickboxer. If he stays on he likes to stay on the outside and then crash the pocket and throw big looping shots. But due to this, his volume isn't the best. He throws a lot of kicks, hard kicks to the body, nice calf kicks. His defense needs improvement. He backs straight up on the center line. He wants to fight from this distance, which is why he hated the pressure from Michal Oleksiejczuk. But Oleksiejczuk is like a really underrated fighter. He's not reacting to strikes well, but he was cracked by Josh Fram. He's cracked by Nursultan Ruzabayev. He will wrestle. He's not terrible at it, but he's a bad defensive wrestler. He has a few submissions on his record, but he rushes position. I think his last sub was he got a guillotine on the Contender Series. He has a lot of cardio issues. I shouldn't say that. He hasn't gassed out in the past, but he's actually been stopped frequently recently. So that could be some of it. Reese, I mean, he's also a large guy. You know, he's also a long, lanky guy. He switches stances a lot. Nice output of the feet. He's got some good boxing, especially when he stays technical. He stays within himself. Nice straight shots. He attacks with combination. He has some good power. I mean, he showed his power against Julian Marquez. I think he has 5 TKOs. He can chase chaos and overthrow his punches and leave him open to be blasted. And you mentioned he's really easy to hit because he stands tall. He keeps his chin high. He pulls his head straight back. I do like his kicks. He's got some hard kicks. He will wrestle, more of like a body lock takedown kind of guy. But he isn't good at it. He needs to improve his takedown defense. He has 2 subs. He does move well off his back. The problem is he also likes to strike off his back. Now he got an armbar win off his back, but he also got knocked out by Asamat Bakayev with ground and pound because of it. These guys are very similar, their styles. I hate Dumas. I refuse to pick him to win. I've said this before. I'm gonna say it again. I don't understand why the UFC allows him to be in the organization. I mean, he's a terrible human being. I could understand if he was marketable. Now, I'm not saying that justifies being a shitbag or the organization keeping a shitbag, but I would at least have like understanding why they would want to keep someone around. Yeah. But he's a low-level dude. Just get rid of the guy. I say Reese comes out aggressive on the feet. I say he lands hard strikes. I think he blasts him to the body with a kick. I think he drops him and he finishes up. Give me Reese by first round TKO.
All right. Aguilar versus Gurule.
Yep.
Up next at UFC Fight Night 259 is a men's flyweight matchup between Jesus Santos Aguilar and Luis Gurule. Aguilar, the 29-year-old Mexican, is 11-3 overall. He's 3-2 since joining the UFC out of season 6 of Dana White's Contender Series. He's coming in off a loss. He fought most recently at UFC Fight Night Cannonier versus Rodriguez back in February, where he dropped a unanimous decision to Rafael Esteban. That snapped a 3-fight win streak for him, so he'll be looking to start up a new one here against Gurule. 31-year-old from Colorado is 10-1 overall. He is 0-1 since joining the UFC out of season 8 of Dana White's Contender Series. He fought on the Contender Series last October, made his UFC debut in April at UFC Fight Night Emmett versus Murphy, where he got knocked out in the second round by Ode Osborne. So tasked with bouncing back from his first career loss period, he is favored to get it done. He is minus 220, Aguilar plus 180 as the underdog. Keith, any interest in either of these guys as a future top 10 men's flyweight, and who do you think gets it done here?
Yeah, I mean, flyweight's such a good division. I think there's one that has upside that could become a top 10 guy, and obviously he's going to be the guy that I pick here. I don't want to give it away yet. It's funny, going from Dumas to a guy who has a name of Jesus, it just doesn't seem right. It's like Barabbas or Jesus, like, you know. That's a deep cut for some of you guys. There's someone out there will get it. I mean, he's a short and stocky guy. He marches down his opponent. He has good volume. He tries to get inside where he can brawl. He's a bit of a wild man, constantly overthrowing his punches. I seen him almost knock himself like over trying to land a punch on the regional scene. He does have good power though if he catches it. I mean, he showed against Shannon Ross that he starts Shannon Ross in the first round. Of course, that's as low as level guy you can find in the UFC, but still, he will throw some hard kicks. His defense is bad, and that's like the theme. I know I say that a lot, but this guy eats a lot of shots. He wrestles a lot. He's got some fast entries, but he'll shoot from distance without a setup. He will look for throws, but a lot of times he doesn't have like good posture, and there's times he looks for throws, he ends up on bottom. He needs to improve his top game. He does stay busy with his ground and pound, but his control isn't the best. He looks for guillotine chokes as kind of like his thing. He's constantly jumping for. We said it before, he's a bit of a specialist at. He's got 5 subs just by guillotine. I think he won on the Contender Series with a guillotine. He's a weak defensive wrestler though, and he kind of like his style. He winds up somewhere that he walks straight into takedowns. Gurule, he's a good kickboxer on the feet. Nice volume. He attacks with combinations, cuts angles well to set up his shots. He targets the body, which I like. He's got nice power, and that has to do with him keeping his base really underneath him. Big kicking game. He loves like front kicks. He'll constantly close the distance and work in the clinch. I shouldn't say constantly, but he'll often. Constantly not the word, but he often will do that. Good dirty boxing inside. He's a good wrestler. Nice entries. Good at winning scrambles. If taken down, he's got a really good get up game. I mean, Nick Piston. How do I say his last name?
Piccanini.
Yeah, Piccanini. Yeah, I was going to be the wrestling guy. Struggled to keep him down, which is really impressive because that was a really high level wrestler. I love that he'll go for Granby rolls, which is super fun, especially in MMA. And let's not forget, like he got knocked out by Ode Osborne. He was winning that fight before he was blasted. So, and obviously Ode Osborne, up and down flyweight, but he's had moments of greatness, and that was one of them, obviously. So, as far as prediction go, I like Gurule here a lot. Aguilar is so fun, but he's not technical at all. I think he eats a lot of shots from Gurule. I think Gurule's going to really have his way. I also think he's going to walk into Gurule's takedowns if Gurule wants to go that. Give me Gurule by decision. You asked me if one guy's a future top 10. I'm not going to guarantee he's a future top 10. I'm not going to lock that in, but I am going to lock this in as my lock of the night. I like Gurule pretty big. Give me Gurule by decision.
Yeah, I wish I could give some tension and suspense to the listeners by disagreeing with you on any of these, but through 5 fights, I feel about these the same way you do. And here in particular, Aguilar being fun and wild to his own strategic detriment it's just not gonna do him any favors against a fighter kind of as disciplined as Gurule is. And I do think this. I agree that Gurule's going to win the decision, but I think the moments where the dominance really shows, and if there are any moments where we think this fight might get stopped at some point, it's going to be when Gurule gets Aguilar on the ground. Aguilar's takedown defense, his wildness, his never being exactly over his feet, and then his tendency to jump guillotines when a stiff breeze hits him, none of that's going to help him against Gurule. He's going to end up on the bottom, and he's going to get pelted. And hell, if Gurule subs him at some point, it wouldn't be a shock. But I'm with you. Aguilar has been tough to get out of there, so I'm going to say it goes to the final horn, but Gurule by decision. Strawweights are up next at UFC Fight Night 259 as Tatiana Suarez squares off against Amanda Lemos. Suarez.
Ben, hold on. We're still in the prelims.
Yep.
I think you accidentally jumped all the way to the co-main event.
All right.
Because there's no way former title challenger just fought for the title was on paper the toughest test of Whaley's career, future destroyer, and then also top ranked. Amanda Lemos, top 5 in the world. So 2 top 5 fighters in the world are buried on the prelims of a house card, no card. Under Jose Medina, there's no way that happened. So I just want to make sure. I'm assuming it was your mistake.
Yeah, I'll fix it in editing. Yeah,
what the fuck are they doing? What? What are they doing?
I don't get it, man. I was gonna ask you to sound off on that anyway, so I'm glad because
honestly, there's a trivia because I had to look this up. If I asked you, all right, which 2 top 5 ranked fighters are on this card, you go main event. It's not. These are the 2 top 5 ranked fighters according to the Sherdog rankings.
Yeah.
Not, I mean, I'm not saying obviously Lopez and Silva is fantastic, but what the hell, guys?
I don't get it. I don't get it. Well, let's introduce him and then we'll talk about the fight. Suarez, 34-year-old American, 10-1 overall. 7-1 since joining the UFC out of season 23 of The Ultimate Fighter. That's the good news. The bad news is that the one loss was in her last cage appearance. As Keith alluded to, she fought for the strawweight title at UFC 312 back in February and ended up on very much the wrong end of a unanimous decision at the hands of Weili Zhang. It was absolute drubbing. She does have quite a bit to prove in her return, but here she is. And just to see the woman scheduled to be in the cage twice in a calendar year is a bit of a victory in itself, but the opponent will be Lemos, 38-year-old Brazilian. is 15-4-1 overall. She's 9-4 in the UFC and has alternated wins and losses going back over 2 years at this point, dating all the way back to her own unsuccessful bid for the strawweight crown, which was almost exactly 2 years ago at UFC 292. Since then, she has a win over Mackenzie Dern, a loss to Verna Jandiroba, and a win over Yasmin Lucindo in her most recent appearance, which was back in March at UFC 313. So Lemos looking for back-to-back wins for the first time since the streak that got her the title shot in the first place. Not favored to get it done. Suarez, tied for the biggest favorite on the card, is -450. Lemos +350. Now, Keith, you've already sounded off about the wildly inappropriate card placement of this extremely relevant fight.
It's nuts.
I was preparing a rant for this, but now that I say this, I realize I may not be speaking for everybody. I may just be speaking for myself, because until I saw that Suarez was such a huge favorite over Lemos, my question was going to be, thinking back to people like, Ronda Rousey and Lyoto Machida, like, how many fighters are there where your opinion of them dropped that much after their first loss, like Tatiana Suarez? And maybe it's just me.
Sure.
Because I was super concerned by the Weili Zhang fight. And it's not because she lost. Weili Zhang is arguably the most dominant fighter in the sport right now. Like, she's incredible. But it was how bad Suarez looked. Suarez wasn't even competitive at the things she's supposed to be great at. And her athleticism, just the way she moved, didn't look like we're used to seeing her. The physical strength we're used to seeing from it, it left me concerned that it wasn't just that she ran into an all-time great. It's that this incredibly lucky/unlucky run of health in and outside the cage that she's had finally caught up with her, and she became the world's, or at least the UFC's, oldest 34-year-old overnight. And I figured I was going to say that, and you would agree with me, and our listeners would agree with me, and I'd be like, follow me to freedom. But then I see that Suarez is -450 against Amanda Lemos. Like,
yeah.
Because here's the thing. If Suarez fights like she did against Zhang, not talking about the specific tactical decisions from moment to moment, but just that's who she physically is walking into the cage, I don't favor her over Lemos at all. Like, if she can't take down Amanda Lemos, she's going to get beat up. That feels weird to say, because, again, ahead of the Zhang fight, I would have said Suarez beats Lemos any way she wants. She can take her down if she wants, but if she doesn't want to, she's getting better at using that long reach in boxing. I think she handles Lemos everywhere. And I'm talking about it completely the opposite way now. I'm like, if Suarez can take Lemos down, hold her down, make her tired, like beat her up some there, she has a very good chance of winning this fight. If she gets stuck on the feet against Lemos, I think she's going to eat some haymakers. Like, I'm delaying picking this fight because I know whichever way I pick this, if I'm wrong, I'm going to be so dead wrong.
Go with the big upset, man.
I'm going with the big upset, and
nice.
It's one of the ones where I'm like, I'm not doing it to be this clever betting sharp. I'm doing it because it doesn't feel like an upset to me. I'm worried that Tatiana Suarez is finally shot, like done so physically. She's a woman that, if it starts to fall off, it's going to fall off fast because she has a massive weight cut to 115. Like, yeah, give me Lemos to sprawl and brawl Tatiana Suarez, kind of mark her up on the feet. If they end up in clinch scenarios, Suarez is normally really good at getting takedowns from there, but Lemos is just big, physically strong. Yeah, give me Lemos to win decision here. I think it'll be a close one, but Suarez will probably look like a ghost of herself, and it makes me sad to pick.
I know I keep harping on this card placement, But with Whaley leaving the division, and say she beats Valentina Shevchenko, which is a real possibility. I mean, shit, her beating Tom Aspinall is a possibility. How good Whaley Zhang is. But
this fight could practically be for the interim title then.
Yeah, well, that's what I was gonna say is, with if she doesn't come back to the division right away after fighting Shevchenko, well, they have the interim matchup with what's her name, the fake Brazilian and
Dern.
and
Mackenzie Dern.
Jandaroba. What's the girl's name? I can't. Macy Dern and Jandaroba. Who's fighting for the title after that? Wouldn't it be the winner of this matchup?
Yes, probably.
This is a title. This could be a possible title eliminator, especially if Suarez does what the betting line says she will, and is what we've always seen her do. If she does what she did to Carlos Esparza or one of these things, then she'd be like, "Oh yeah, that was a bad fight. This is her moment." It'll kind of feel like when Kayla Harrison lost to Larissa Pacheco, and then after that she looked absolutely dominant again. That's kind of like, I know they wouldn't mention that, but that's like how you kind of, it was a one badge moment. As far as this fight goes, I mean, everything you said about Suarez, I feel the same way. I mean, she looked so bad against Whaley, and sure, it simply could be that Zhang is amazing, and that is 100% true. However, it could be that we missed the window of her greatness. That time and all those injuries, like that moments, has gotten the best of her. She might go down as one of the biggest what ifs in MMA history. If she doesn't win this fight and she doesn't take on the winner of Dern and Jandaroba, and Dern would kind of be a tough stylistic matchup for her. But she'll be one of the biggest what ifs ever. I think she'll be in there with what would happen if Cain Velasquez didn't have those injuries and everything, and what I know he won the title, but I feel that's the way with her. You mentioned she's a huge strawweight, long and lanky. She's southpaw. She marches down the throws, but she still wants to kind of keep her distance. She wants to move forward, but still kind of keep a little bit distance. She does not throw enough combinations. She does a lot of single strikes. She would throw a lot of kicks because she's long, but also she's not worried about someone grabbing her leg. She wants you to like close the distance to grapple with her. She does keep her chin high in the air. She likes to use her size and grind in the clinch. She's an extremely good wrestler, fast entries. She chain wrestles well. She will shoot too far from the outside, but she makes up for insanely long arms. She likes to use her size to grind in the clinch. She's got a good top game. She likes to like Dagestan handcuff, mean ground and pound. I always go back to like the Carlos Esparza. She just beat the brakes off for her. She's a submission threat. She has 5 subs in her career. Lemos is athletic, good footwork. She's pretty explosive, good boxing, fast hands, works behind a crisp jab. It's a bit like an up jab where she throws it from her hips. She uses feints well to set up her counters. She likes to get in the pocket and throw a lot of hard, tight hooks. She's one of the hardest hitters in the division. It was a while ago, but she knocked out Marina Rodriguez. She throws a lot of kicks. She likes to attack the calves. She will close the distance, grind the clinch. She has good power for like a 115-pound fighter too, like physically strong. When she's in the clinch, she has this judo background, so she looks for sweeps and throws. I'll go back, like I keep going up to the Rodriguez fight, but she hit Rodriguez for this incredible leg sweep. She's not much of a distance striker, but if she gets the fight down, I like her top game, hard ground and pound. Though against Yasmin Lucindo, she kind of stalled on top. She's a weak defensive wrestler, though. I mean, Whaley's dominated with her wrestling. Whaley does it to everyone, but she needs to improve her get-up game. She's a submission threat. She hit Michelle Waterson with a beautiful guillotine. She has a questionable fight IQ, though, because she kept grappling with Mackenzie Dern instead of breaking free when she had moments. She does have good BJ submission defense. She kept having, Dern kept looking for subs and was struggling to find it. But then she was quickly subbed by Vernon Jandaroba. But, Jandaroba's out of freaking run right now. To me, this comes down to, the way you're picking this fight is 100% is Suarez shot. Yeah. If she's not shot and it's just Whaley's incredible and that's what Whaley can do, I think I view this completely. I think this is a terrible stylistic matchup for Lemos. I saw what Whaley did with her wrestling. Why can't Suarez do the same thing? it's for a line that is so big, it is a huge question mark. You know what I mean? When someone's negative, what did you say, 400? It should be like, oh, done, easy pick. I'm going to say the Suarez reminds us who she is, and she isn't shot. I expect her to close the distance. I expect her to take Lemos down. I expect her to batter with strikes on top. I say she does it for the majority of 15 minutes. I think she's going to make it look easy. Give me Suarez by dominant decision.
Lightweights take the cage next at Noche UFC as Claudio Puelles faces off against Joaquim Silva. Puelles, the 29-year-old Peruvian, is 12-4 overall. He's 5-3 in the UFC. He is on a 2-fight losing streak, the first losing streak of any kind of his career. He fought most recently back in February of last year, dropping a split decision to Ferreira. Prior to that, you have to go all the way back almost 3 years for his nasty knockout loss to Dan Hooker. So it's been a minute since we've seen Claudio Puelles in the cage. It's been several years since we've seen him have his hand raised there. He's going to try to get it back against Silva. The 36-year-old Brazilian is 13-5 overall. He is 6-5 in the UFC. He also has not fought since last year. He lost a unanimous decision to Drakkar Klose at UFC 301 last May. So the man who goes by Neto BJJ will be bringing his BJJ back to the cage almost 18 months later. He is not favored, but this is one of the closest lines on the card. Puelles just minus 120, Silva plus 100 as the underdog. I mean, it's Neto BJJ. It's our favorite nickname in the whole UFC. Back again.
Yeah, I love him.
All right, so Joaquim Silva, he has several problems. One, he has the worst nickname in the UFC. Two,
you mean best nickname?
Yeah. he's 6-5 in the UFC, which, I mean, that's not great, but that's 11 fights in 10 years. He's been in the UFC for 10 years, and he's just literally barely over a once-a-year fighter. I've had this rant before. Even if he was 10-1 over that same time, you would forget who the hell he was, because lightweight, it's too fast-moving of waters. It's the reason that even Khabib Nurmagomedov didn't start fighting top 10 fighters until like the last 7 or 8 fights of his career, because even though everyone could tell he was the best fighter in the world, he was injured so often. You fight once a year in the UFC lightweight division and they forget who you are. Who he is a hilarious, like, muscle-bound slugger who has he has big power in his hands, but nobody should be getting caught by this. I think this line is only as close as it is, not even because of Puelles' losses, because his losses were both to studs. It's the long shelf time and the injuries. It's got to be doubt over who he is right now, because
he looked terrible in those fights too. Besides just like he lost to guys and he was off. He looked terrible.
I don't think it, and of course this is right after me just like, saying that I think Suarez might be shot. Puelles can't be this dead. Like, even the version of him that lost to Zayam, I think can use his reach, stay away from Silva, not go to the ground unless he wants to, which, I mean, Neto BJJ doesn't try to take anybody down. I think Puelles wins the decision here. I don't know if he is all the way back. He looked like a future top 10 guy, before the Hooker fight. I don't know if he's all the way back, but unless he's dead.
I mean, Hooker's do ruin careers, so.
I guess that should make me glad that we don't have the other Jones brothers in the UFC. All right. Yeah. I got Puelles by decision.
You know what I love is that you bash our boy and his nickname because he's a guy who swings for the fences but has a BJJ nickname. Dude, you constantly tell everybody that your BJJ coach is Alex Morano, who is the American version of that. The
Floor is lava.
he's he's a jiu-jitsu coach. Like, did he teach striking in the jiu-jitsu class? Like, dude, this is the kids class. The kids are friggin' no. He's got 2 kids with their foot in the tie and throwing down. Like, this ain't supposed to be BJJ. Yeah, this fight is friggin' terrible. I was never as high on Puelles as other people. I remember when he had that hype, and then Dan Hooker absolutely ruined it. But he's a one-dimensional fighter. To me, he's another Paul Craig, not to like as bad of an athlete and as bad of a striker, but my point is like he's still a pretty one-dimensional fighter. But the thing that Craig had on him, Craig wasn't in the division that it is extremely hard to be one-dimensional like Puelles is.
Yeah,
he's a southpaw. I think his striking is terrible. He has his output is good. I'll give him that. He throws a lot to try to close the distance, but his hands are like that's it. It's just to close the distance. Due to his size, he will throw some kicks, and I don't mind them. He also throws a lot of kicks. He doesn't care if you catch a kick because he wants you to take it down because he wants to get it to the ground anyways. He's got some of the worst defensive striking you'll see. He eats a lot of punches, doesn't move his head. Dan Hooker crushed him to the body. For a BJJ guy, he's a terrible wrestler. He'll shoot with those long arms, which is good. But, I mean, I'd say his entries are – I shouldn't say terrible. They're okay. But if he gets the fight to the ground, he is good at advanced position. He can get subs off his back. He has those long legs. He's got 5 submission wins. He's a knee bar specialist. I think he has 3 of them in the UFC. He'll constantly roll for a sub. So if the fight gets to the ground, it's fun. Like, but he'll lose position, chasing submission. Neto BJJ. I mean, he switches stance a lot, though I do think he's better in the southpaw stance. I'm a little higher on his boxing. The problem is he doesn't have the best output. When he lets he hands go, it's not that bad. He keeps everything tight. He sets up his shots with feints. He has some pop in his hands, but he has recently been looking for that one big punch instead of staying technical. He can crush the body, which I like. He'll toss out some spinning attacks. He knocked out Jesse Ronson with a flying knee, which is obviously super fun. I mean, it was a really long time ago too, but it'd be really dangerous against Puelles because you do something spinning or you do some flying, you end up on your back. You give up your back, Puelles on your back. That's dangerous. He throws some mean body kicks. He's the one that wants to press the action. He doesn't handle being pressed back. We saw that against Strickar Close. He was backing straight to the fence. He looked terrible in that fight. I'm also worried about his durability. He's been, he has a bunch of TKO losses. He would try to get to the fight to the ground, but he's not good at it. He is a BJJ black belt, but you don't see it often. And not the best takedown defense. But he is, he's a strong guy, so he's hard to hold down. I hate this matchup because I'm not high on either. Like, I really don't want to pick a winner. Puelles isn't good, but Silva is the type of guy that he might still be able to beat. I'm gonna go lean towards Silva. He's still the better athlete. He still hits harder. I feel like as I'm saying this, I feel like I'm picking the wrong answer. I say we get some exchanges on the feet. Silva wins the majority of those exchanges. Give me Silva by decision with below 0 confidence.
Next up at Noche UFC, and this may actually end up being the top prelim. It's Jose Medina versus Dusko Todorovic. Medina, the 34-year-old Bolivian, is 11-5 overall. He is 0-2 since joining the UFC out of season 7 of Dana White's Contender Series, where he also lost. So he has 3 losses in 3 trips to the octagon. He's going to try to snap that streak against Todorovic. 31-year-old Serbian is 10-6 overall. He is 3-6 since joining the UFC out of season 3 of Dana White's Contender Series. He's on a 3-fight losing streak, stretching back almost 3 full years. He has already fought once this year. It was back in May at UFC on ESPN, Blanchfield versus Barber, where he dropped a unanimous decision to Zach Reese. Interesting trivia note, both these gentlemen have lost to Zach Reese, who for some reason is fighting 4 fights before them on the undercard, because nothing means anything. Odds on this one,
Yeah, but hold on a second. Reese is fighting early in the card because his opponent has a curfew.
Check in with his PO. Oh my goodness. So good. George Carlin once said, think of how dumb the average person is, and then think that half the people in the world are dumber than that. As far as the line on this card goes, on this fight, think of how good Dusko Todorovic is, and then think that the UFC found somebody that he is minus 300 against.
Good Lord.
Dusko Todorovic minus 300, Jose Medina plus 250. This might be the lowest level fight that the UFC can put on in any of its divisions right now outside of heavyweight. This is Todorovic could easily have been cut at any point in the last 2 years, and Medina should never have been in the UFC in the first place. Like, this one is low, low, low. This is Mike Jackson versus CM Punk stuff. And I say that as a friend of Mike Jackson's.
I care. That's not that crazy, but okay.
No. Funny thing, we're just a week away from Modestas Bukauskas just ripping off another fantastic performance. I mean, yeah, it was against Paul Craig, but 3 or 4 years ago, I would have called him and Dusko Todorovic about the same. Like, they both want the same general kind of fight. They both have the same kind of problems dictating it, and they'll probably always kind of putter along and maybe show up in the UFC every few years. And all of a sudden, Modestas Bukauskas is looking really good, and Dusko Todorovic is still terrible. Like, he's a pretty big, long-limbed kickboxer who can't take a clean punch and can't dictate the distance he wants against anybody with 2 working legs. Just he's too slow. He can't stay at his preferred kind of kicking / kickboxing distance. It's just not good. But Medina, as somebody that's just gonna come barreling straight forward, throwing hooks with both hands at him, and is smaller and is not a good wrestler, I understand why the line is what it is. I still wouldn't take Todorovic at minus 300 just because he is so hittable and so chinny. Like, I think he beats Medina. I think he beats him by first round knockout, but Medina winning by first round knockout is my second most likely outcome. And I'd call it like maybe a 70-30 type thing. Give me Todorovic by first round knockout. This is going to be a whole lot of fun until somebody gets their jaw jacked.
Yeah. I agree that it will be fun. Medina, I mean, this dude is bad. I mean, he's such a terrible athlete. He's just this lumbering kind of guy. He used to have good output, but then that was like the only thing he really had going for him. Then it really dipped against Goodyear. I mean, he's tough. He can take a beating, but that's because he has no skill. His hand speed is slow. He likes to throw down in the pocket, and he has a little bit of power, but his brawling is not a good idea because he has no defense. He's so hittable. He lacks head movement. He got his legs beat up on the Contender Series. He'll close the distance and try to wrestle. And if he ends up on top, he'll be busy with ground and pound. But he's a bad defensive wrestler. No get-up game. He has 2 subs on his record, but I think he's definitely not a grappler. And his cardio isn't bad. I'll say that. He's not bad. Like, he looks like he should have bad cardio. Todorovic, I mean, he's also, you said, it isn't good. He's a southpaw. He fights behind a jab. He's a slip and rip striker. He works the body. He has some power. Like, he has offensive skills. The problem is his defense is so freaking bad. He keeps his chin high. He's taking tons of damage. He doesn't react to strikes well. I mean, I think his chin is completely shot. He will close the distance or wear on his opponent in the clinch. If he initiates the clinch, he can be offensive. He can kind of grind in there. He can sneak in some takedowns. He likes inside trips and he'll do some throws. When he's on top, I like his control. He moves to a better position, which is good, but he's not a submission threat at all. His defensive wrestling is bad. He gassed a little against Zachary. So, I mean, both guys are so bad. I'm taking Todorovic because he's a better athlete and he's a way better wrestler. I'm actually gonna say he's gonna take the fight to the ground and control on top and beat him up with ground and pound. I'm gonna say he's gonna stop it. I'm gonna say he does in the second round with the ground and pound.
Next up at Noche UFC, and I'm pretty sure this is either the top prelim or the first main card fight. In either event, it is a lightweight clash between Alexander Hernandez and Diego Ferreira. Hernandez, the 32-year-old Texan, and in fact, I believe he's the only fighter from San Antonio that'll be there. So, good. Gets to fight in front of his folks. At any rate, 17-8 overall.
The other guy's not from San Antonio. The newcomer there. What's his name?
Coria?
Josh Van's trained Pana?
No, he's Houston.
Oh, Houston. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I should know that. Josh Van's from Houston.
Yeah.
Why didn't I meet Josh Van? We should have set that up while we were out there.
Should have.
Anyways.
Where was I? Oh, yeah. Hernandez, 17-8 overall, 9-7 in the UFC, which obviously that isn't great math, but it's worth noting that he's 9-4 at lightweight. He is 0-3 the 3 times that he has tried to fight below lightweight, and he's missed weight at least one of those times. But when he actually just owns up to being a 155-pound competitor, he's 9-4, and he is on a 3-fight win streak, his longest win streak of his UFC run. He's already fought twice this year. He picked up a unanimous decision over Kurt Hollabaugh back in March, then came back in August at UFC 319 and knocked out Chase Hooper right before the end of the first round. He'll look to make it 4 in a row here and perhaps become a semi-late blooming contender against Ferreira. 40-year-old Brazilian, though he has lived in Texas for almost 20 years himself, but 40-year-old Brazilian by way of Texas, 19-6 overall, 10-6 in the UFC. He's coming in off a loss. He fought most recently at UFC 311 back in January, where he dropped a unanimous decision to Grant Dawson. Prior to that, he'd been on a 2-fight win streak, and he'll be looking to start up a new one here. I'll have you guess this one, Keith. The favorite is -140. The underdog +115. Who are they?
I'll say Hernandez is favorite.
You're correct. Alexander Hernandez, -140. Diego Ferreira, +115. I'm going to toss this one to you. But I'll say this. I'm surprised that we're talking about this fight. I'm surprised that both of these guys are competitive enough. Yeah.
I know
I'm surprised that both these guys are competitive enough in the second half of 2025 that they're having this fight, that both of them are even still in the UFC, let alone this far up, this kind of specialized the card.
Yeah. Well, the placement of the card doesn't really matter, apparently, but
apparently,
yeah. Like this seems like 3 years ago we'd be doing like, oh my god, these guys are fighting in bare knuckle boxing or something like that.
Yeah.
And like, why are these guys still fighting? And yeah, especially Hernandez. Hernandez is on a run. Hernandez, I mean, he's a good striker. He uses a lot of movement to set up his strikes. He does need to improve his volume, though. Too many single strikes. Even in his last one, it was a lot of single strikes. Yeah, everyone remembers the knockout, but I was having issues with his volume. When he lets his hands go, he has fast hands. He's accurate. He's one of the fighters that measures his shots really well. He does well to slide in and out of range well. When he finds his routes, he can explode and land good combinations. He has a great left hook. Obviously, he showed against Chase Hooper that he still has some power. He mixes punches to the body and then to the head together in combination, which I like. He does mix punches and kicks together well. He is open to leg kicks himself. I go back to the Damian Jackson fight. Jackson brutalizes him with leg kicks. He can sneak in a takedown. He's a underrated grappler. He's good at winning scrambles, but he isn't the best defensive wrestler. Ferreira, I mean, he's always been very undersized for the division, but he makes up for it with just being a high volume striker, really tight boxing, good output, works behind a double jab, follows it up with straight shots down the pipe. He doubles his jab and then he lands with a right combo. It's kind of like his go-to combo. He does a lot of body work, which I like. Big kicking game. He does eat a lot of shots, and that's concerning because he's at the point of his career he really should really try to protect his chin, kind of like what Andre Arlovski did at the end of his career. But I mean, that's just not him. He's just shown to be such a tough dude. He will look for takedowns, but he's not a strong wrestler. But if he gets down, he's a very good BJJ practitioner, especially from the top. He has 7 subs on his record. He has great ground and pound. He has gas a few times in the past, but his cardio was great in a really tough contest. Well, it actually was tough. It should have been tough, but he kind of dominated against Mateusz Rebecki. I'm glad the line is really close because this is the one I think it's one of the best fights on the card. Like, I'm intrigued by it. Also, I've flip-flopped to this one. I mean, both guys have looked very inconsistent. I mean, I just think that they both, like, at one time looked like they were shot and they were done, as you mentioned. And then, they've kind of turned it around. Hernandez has the power on his side, while Ferreira has the volume. I mean, who has? I expect Ferreira to still have the grappling advantage, but will he have the wrestling advantage? That would be concerned because Hernandez is still a bigger guy. But I've counted Ferreira before. It's in his home state. The volume, the takedowns, it gives me a very slight lean towards Ferreira. Give me Ferreira. I'll say it's super close. I'll say Ferreira by split decision.
Yeah, I was glad to see that the line was close on this one because it feels closely matched. And like I kind of said, it's two guys that I didn't expect Ferreira to still be performing at this level. Like, yeah, he lost to Grant Dawson very straightforward fashion, but he looked like he was going to be well out of the UFC by this point. Like, when he lost 3 straight in 2021 and just looked so flat in all 3 of them, I figured he was done. And all of a sudden he came back and started knocking people out. It's interesting to talk about Ferreira's cardio because he has had fights where he won with cardio. You talked about the Rebecki fight. The thing that kind of got him back on the map a few years back was when he beat Mairbek Taisimov over in Abu Dhabi in this hot ass arena. And it's because Taisimov totally gassed out and Ferreira ran him into the dirt.
And Taisimov was legit back then.
And dude, yeah, so you go from that, but then he's had fights where he expressly lost because he gassed out. Like I mean, Gamrot just destroyed Ferreira, but Dariush and Gillespie both beat him because they broke him down. Like, a little bit of damage especially in the Gillespie fight, but both of them wore him out. It's the biggest variable about him because the rest of it, you laid out his skills really well, but it matters here because Hernandez also will lose or win fights based on gas. It's why the 145-pound experiment was such a terrible idea for him. I'm leaning with you here. So we do have our first unanimous upset pick of the night. And Hernandez really has been fighting better and better across this win streak. Like, a lot of the dumb things he used to do that would lose him fights before and kept him kind of underachieving seem to go away. So I feel bad on some level if the streak comes to an end here, but I think Ferreira will be able to get Hernandez down at least enough, at least in 2 out of 3 rounds, that that's what those rounds hinge on. But yeah, Ferreira by decision as well. Men's bantamweights are up next at UFC Fight Night 259 as Kwang Lee welcomes Santiago Luna to the UFC. Luna, 21-year-old Mexican, is 6-0 as a pro. This will be his UFC debut. He fought in California back in May, was his most recent appearance. He has, I believe he has 100% finish rate as well. At any rate, steps in here. This fight has been juggled a bunch of times. He is in for David Martinez, who got promoted to the co-main event when Raul Rosas Jr. pulled out. So now it's Luna fighting Lee, but Lee was in for Carlos Vera, who fell off. So it's 2 people that were never supposed to be on this card in the first place that are now in a fight because they only had 13 and they wanted 14 apparently. At any rate, Lee, 33-year-old from Vietnam by way of Minnesota, is 9-2 overall. He's 1-2 in the UFC, and he is coming in off a win. After 2 unsuccessful tries, he had his 3rd cage appearance in the UFC back in May at UFC on ESPN, Sandhagen versus Figueiredo, where he choked out Gaston Bolaños in the 2nd round. So he'll look to build on that momentum here. He is slightly favored to do so. Or no, sorry, he's the underdog. Luna is -125, Lee +105 as the slight underdog. Keith, tell me if Kwang Lee is any good, and tell me, well, honestly, tell me whether Santiago Luna is the real thing. Tell me whether Kwang Lee is any good. Tell me who wins this fight.
Well, I'll say this. I didn't think Kwang Lee was that good, but he looked great in his last fight. I mean, he isn't a great athlete, but he showed in his last fight he has good fight IQ. He put himself in a perfect position to win. He really dominated Gaston Bolaños. He likes to stay outside and then suddenly close the distance and throw a combination. He throws a bunch of hard hooks. He needs to throw more Sorry, can I start over? I'm sorry, I'm distracted. All right, you ready?
Yep.
All right. Sorry, I'm all over the place. Sorry. I mean, he looked good in his last fight. I didn't think he was this guy that was, really high fighter, but I mean, he had really good fight IQ in his last fight against Bolaños. Looked good. He isn't a great athlete, but he makes up for it by kind of being technical. He stays on the outside, then he suddenly closes the distance and he throws combinations. He throws a bunch of hard hooks. He doesn't check leg kicks. I mean, we saw Chris Gutierrez kick his legs at will, but I mean, that's what Gutierrez's game is. But he's a nice wrestler, good entries. He also catch a kick to get the fight the ground, which is something I say like he's intelligent like that. He's a good grappler. I mean, even against Gutierrez, he had nice back takes against Gutierrez. He has 4 submission wins. I mean, he easily subbed Gaston Bolaños. Now, Luna, I mean, obviously the thing that jumps out, the guy's only 21 years old, and he has looked great from what I've seen on the regional scene. The problem is he has faced some really low-level competition. So it's I like when guys look dominant against those people. They should. Now, he's a wrestle boxer. He's basically a pocket boxer, too. He gets in the pocket. He throws hard. He's got nice power. He's a good wrestler. He's got some fast entries. He gets to the legs. He picks guys up, slams them hard. He has a submission threat. I think it's an awesome fight because there's a lot of question marks. I like both guys a lot. And I didn't think that was the case against Lee. I think Lee is more experienced and he's definitely the more polished fighter, while Luna has the more upside. If this fight was 5 years from now, I would like Luna's chances a lot more. This is a big step up in competition for him. And I'm going to say I think this is too much too soon for him. I think he should have stayed on the regional scene, fought some little better competition. I think he will do well in the UFC. I just don't think it's going to start this weekend. I think he'll have some moments, but I expect Lee to land the better strikes from the outside, maybe even surprise him during some of the grappling exchanges. Give me Lee by decision.
I'm glad you feel this way, because I was wondering. I was surprised, at the line, because Luna looked super impressive in his first 6 fights, but especially the first 4, the ones in UWC in Mexico, those were so low level. Like they were, which, and you pointed out, that's what you're supposed to do against those guys. But I do think it's going to be a case of the merging into freeway traffic, because I don't know if Kwang Lee is a future contender in this division. I lean towards no in this division with just about anybody, but I think he's definitely proven that he belongs. Like he's at least kind of a solid middle of the road UFC level bantamweight. And you put it perfectly. 5 years from now, who knows who Santiago Luna will be, but this is going to be a huge step up from the guys he's been fighting. And I think it'll be interesting. I think he's probably going to be able to take Lee down, but I don't know if he's going to like what he gets when he's there. I could see him like taking Lee down and either making himself tired, trying to return him to the mat, or just finding himself swept and on the defensive. Like you put it well. Lee's a really smart fighter. I think Lee gets the slight upset here via decision as well. Middleweights are up next at Noche UFC as Kelvin Gastelum faces off against Dustin Stoltzfus. Gastelum, the 33-year-old Arizonan, is 19-10 with 1 no contest overall. He is 13-10 with 1 no contest since joining the UFC as the middleweight winner of season 17 of The Ultimate Fighter. He has alternated wins and losses in his last 5 fights, dating back almost 5 full years. He's coming in off a loss. He fought most recently back in June at UFC 316, where he lost a unanimous decision to Joe Pyfer. So by the pattern, he is due to get back into the win column. The man with anything to say about that will be Stoltzfus. 33-year-old American, but long-time training and competing in Germany before kind of making it back to the States. But at any rate, he is 16-7 overall. He is 3-6 since joining the UFC out of season 4 of Dana White's Contender Series. 3-6 does not sound great, but worth noting that after losing his first 3 in the UFC, he has alternated losses and wins over his last 5 as well, just like Gastelum. He's coming in off a loss. He fought most recently at UFC Fight Night Burns versus Morales back in May, where he dropped a unanimous decision to Nursultan Ruzaboyev. So he is also due to get back into the win column here. Something's got to give. Odds makers say it's Stoltzfus, because Gastelum is a minus 250 favorite. Stoltzfus plus 200 as your underdog. Keith, we've already established that card placement makes no sense and makes no difference, so I won't even say anything about it, but I'll flip this one to you. Who do you think wins this and how?
Yeah, it's funny. We talk about guys that, I just don't feel like breaking down anymore. Gastelum has fallen in that category, and it shouldn't be, because Gastelum is only 33 years old, yet he feels like he's from a different era of the game.
Yeah.
He's been getting blown out. I should say he hasn't been getting blown out, but he still appears to be kind of flat. I think he's shot, not in the shot in the sense that he's terrible, but I think he's at least not a top middleweight. There's one time, there was one time he was fighting for the interim title and had an all-time war against Izzy, and that's fought the Ultimate Fighter show with Robert Whitaker and all that. Now he's an undersized middleweight, but obviously he isn't disciplined enough to be a welterweight. He's had a million chances to be that. I think he's been in a lot of battles over the end that has taken a lot from him. Add in that he's had a slew of injuries. Also, hear the stories about him being unmotivated. He's a southpaw, a lot more athletic than he looks. He moves pretty well. He still has some hand speed, kind of fights in bursts. He sets up his shots well with feints. His volume is inconsistent. His volume against Danny Rodriguez was pretty good, but it wasn't against Joe Pyfer. He's got a solid jab. He's got a good overhand left, though he can overthrow it sometimes, leave him to be countered. He does really step into his shots. He has good power, but he doesn't have that one punch knock you out. That's not there anymore. He hasn't got a KO since he knocked out Michael Bisping in 2017. He had some success against Danny Rodriguez with calf kicks. He has opened calf kicks himself. I'll say he's an above average offensive wrestler, but as he's gotten older, he has used it less and less. Now, he did wrestle a lot against Danny Rodriguez, but his defensive wrestling has really declined. Sean Brady easily took him down and dominated him. Joe Pyfer easily took him down. He was quickly subbed by Sean Brady. He's taken lots of damage over the years. But that said, the one thing I am confident, he still has a chin. So when I say he's shot, I think he's like his athleticism and his speed and his motivation and all that, and his wrestling has declined, like all that has declined, but his chin has. He still has a hell of a chin. Stoltzfus, he's a guy who fights out of both stances. He throws some big overhands. He has some pop in his hands. He dropped Puna Soriano. He has a very like KO or get KO style. He lands a lot of shots, but he's willing to eat, shot to land one of his own. He likes some spinning attacks. He'll throw a lot of kicks. He is open to leg kicks himself. He can grind and clinch. I mean, he's a very physically strong guy. I mean, he's a pretty jacked dude. I'd say he's a solid wrestler. He'll look for takedowns a lot. He is a bad defensive wrestler. Not a bad grappler, though. Some slick back takes against Dwight Grant. He's got 8 submission wins himself. He loves guillotines. He got a knee bar in one fight. He got a leg lock, another one. He had a twister. He subbed Puno Soriano in their fight. I am worried about his durability, though. I mean, he was knocked out by Abus Magomedov and Bruno Ferreira. I mean, Bruno Ferreira hits like a freaking tank. So this is the type of fight that Gastelum previously would have just absolutely dominated. I'm just not confident in his skills anymore. I think both guys will have their moments, but I actually think it's going to be Stolfitz that sneaks in a takedown, and I think that's going to be different. I think he's going to win a very close fight. Give me Stolfitz to pull up the upset. Give me Stolfitz by split decision.
I'm just hitching. I'm hitching onto your wagon here. I think we're gonna pick unanimous upset 3 fights in a row here. The last 3 fights, and you seem to feel the same as I do, that this is more a referendum on Gastelum's decline. Like Stoltzfus he's better than he looked in his first couple UFC outings, but he is what he is. I think even just a couple of years ago, Gastelum would have had too much for him, but I don't trust Gastelum even to use the tools that are left to him to his best advantage. You mentioned hand speed still pretty good, and when he wants to, he throws in good enough volume. He could win rounds against Stoltzfus that way. His wrestling seems to be going away, but I bet he could take Stoltzfus down. I don't know if he'd like what he got once he got there, but yeah, Stoltzfus by decision. Next up at UFC Fight Night 259 is a lightweight matchup between Rafa Garcia and Jared Gordon. Garcia, the 31-year-old Mexican by way of Southern California, is 17-4 overall. He's 5-4 in the UFC. He's coming in off a win. He fought back in March at UFC on ESPN Moreno versus Urseg, where he picked up a unanimous decision over Vince Pichel. He will look to make it 2 in a row here at the expense of Gordon. 37-year-old New Yorker is 21-7 with 1 no contest overall. He is 9-7 with 1 no contest in the UFC. He is also coming in off of a win. He fought back in May at UFC Fight Night Burns versus Morales, where he knocked out Thiago Moises in the first round. So 2 scrappy action lightweights looking to put together a win streak here. Gordon comfortably favored. He is -240, Garcia +200. It's interesting. These are 2 guys that I'm almost surprised they haven't fought already. It's not like Garcia's been in the UFC that long, but it's just like those 2 guys have to have fought, right? They haven't, and I think I expected a little more out of Garcia than you did when he got to the UFC. Like, I thought he was one of the more interesting up and comers in Combate when he was over there, and by that standard, he's underperformed. He's basically 500 in the UFC, and there might not have been many people that he could have beaten as convincingly back in March as he did, like the ghost of Vince Pichel, that I'm pretty sure retired right after that fight. I mean, he's still fun and aggressive. He likes a fast-paced fight. He's another of those guys where if you look at the raw numbers, like, 1 TKO, 8 submissions, it belies like what a willing striker he is. He's not a bad boxer. He certainly likes fighting on the feet, just not a ton of power. Gordon's interesting because it's almost like the inverse of that, where you look at Gordon and he's got way more TKOs than submissions, but despite the fact that he's clearly a guy that prefers to slug it out, he's surprisingly capable of taking care of himself on the ground, even as like an offensive grappler, just in a way that doesn't show necessarily on his record. I like him to win this fight, but I don't like him 2.5 to 1 to win this fight. This feels like it's going to be a competitive fight. And part of the reason, I think, is that even if Gordon is a better fighter, like if you were to match either of these guys up against any 10 UFC lightweights, Gordon would have a better record against the rest. But when these two fight each other, Gordon will sometimes kind of if not fight down to the level of his competition, just fight in a way that guarantees a fun and more competitive than it needs to be fight sometimes. That and the fact that I don't think either guy is going to knock the other out. Give me Gordon by decision, but again, like I think this is going to feel a lot closer and be a lot more fun in the cage than the line might indicate. So yeah, Gordon by decision. Don't be surprised that these guys are getting fight of the night checks.
Yeah, this is kind of one of these fights where like two of our guys kind of going at it. Gordon's a big guy that we kind of always he's kind of a fan favorite, like a cult favorite for many people. I mean, he's a minus athlete, but I mean the guy's a gamer. He's fun. He's got nice volume on the feet. More technical than he gets credited. I think he's actually a pretty technically sound striker. He switches stances a lot. He's got some tight boxing, nice power jab from the southpaw stance. Not that explosive, though. He tends to lack some power. He knocked Thiago Moises out on the feet, but I think that's more of a fluke than something we should look forward to in the future. His defense is still a problem. He eats a lot of shots. He pillars to avoid strikes. He will close the distance and grind and clinch, and he's really good in there. Nice dirty boxing in the clinch, and we saw that against Paddy Pimblett. We saw that against Marco Madsen. He's a decent wrestler, and he wrestles a lot. He kind of has a great mindset to get the fight to the ground. He doesn't care if you stop 100 takedowns in a row. He'll continue to keep looking. He's a good grappler, nice top control, busy ground and pound. If he's taken down, he does really well to quickly get back to his feet and ultimately just keep working and outgrinding, and that's why he makes it a fun contest, because he just keeps working. He's got this massive gas tank. Garcia is kind of similar. He isn't much of an athlete, but he makes up for just kind of being a very gritty kind of guy. He's a high output striker on the feet, works behind a great jab. I mean, go back to the Clay Guida fight, but it was a while ago, but he just jabbed him up in that fight. He follows the jab to pocket where he's willing to throw down. He unleashes some really big looping hard punches. He isn't like a one punch fight ending kind of guy, though. He works the body well. He is like super tough and durable. He ate so many big shots against Nasrat Haqparast and just kept coming and making it a fun fight. He's a solid wrestler, good reactionary double if he's pressured too much, good at turning the corner and driving through the hips. He will overreach sometimes on his takedown attempts, kind of like a very Michael Chiesa style without the Michael Chiesa build. He won't give up on takedowns either, and that's a really plus. He'll just keep shooting. He also has some power, so if he gets to the leg, he'll lift you up and slam you. A strong takedown defense. He stopped all of Clay Guida's takedowns in their fight. He has a nice submission game. We saw that against Jesse Ronson. He showed off some really good cardio against Natan Levy, and but he was a little like he looked much different against Vince Roselli. He was taking big portions of the fight off to kind of conserve his energy. So I don't know if that's something he's looking for as he gets older. I've flip-flopped back and forth. I think this is a close fight. I'm glad that you were saying that Gordon shouldn't be that big a favorite. I think some of it has to do with both these guys as like our kind of guys. Gordon is more technical, and that might be the difference. Gordon is really smart. I can see him using his size, grinding in the clinch. I can see Garcia looking for takedowns, but Gordon actually being the better grappler. Give me Gordon by decision.
That brings us to the co-main event of UFC Fight Night 259. It is a men's bantamweight matchup between Rob Font and David Martinez. Font, the 38-year-old Bostonian, is 22-8 overall. He's 12-7 in the UFC, and he's on a 2-fight win streak. He fought most recently back in February at UFC Fight Night Cejudo versus Song, where he won a split decision over Jean Matsumoto. Prior to that, he picked up a unanimous decision over Kyler Phillips a little under a year ago. He's looking to make it 3 in a row, and had been scheduled to take on Raul Rosas Jr. in this co-main event. Rosas Jr. had to withdraw from the fight, so David Martinez gets promoted from the undercard. 27-year-old Mexican is 12-1 overall. He is 1-0 since joining the UFC out of season 8 of Dana White's Contender Series. He fought and made his UFC debut at UFC on ESPN Moreno versus Urseg back in March, where he knocked out Simon Oliveira in the first round. Odds here, fairly close, but Font is a slight favorite. He's minus 145, Martinez plus 120. Interested to see that little bit of respect on Rob Font's name. I mean, I thought Rob Font was done and dusted 2 years ago. I'm like, I thought he was toast. Not just the way he was losing was concerning, because he'd always been a guy who did certain things at an elite level and then had some glaring flaws. And so, especially in a division like 135, just could never string enough wins together to get into actual contention, but dependent on matchups could be a real tough out for people. And then that just started to really, really go away. But all of a sudden, I mean, his last 3 wins in the UFC, John Matsumoto, Kyler Phillips, Adrian Yanez, he was the underdog in all 3 of those. And against Phillips, he was a huge underdog. That was one of the biggest upsets in the UFC last year. Like, Phillips was something like minus 500. The Matsumoto fight was close. Like, in fact, I think you scored it for Matsumoto, but like, yeah, it was a very close fight, but nonetheless, like, Font is at least back to being the guy I thought he was, 4 years ago when we started doing this show. Like a guy that does certain things well, apparently will never do other things well, and so his success is dependent a lot on matchups. He is a good boxer with a very, very good jab and good footwork. I'm always surprised at how tall he isn't, just because he fights and wins like a taller fighter. Like, I'm always like, how is he just 5'8"? I just always assume he's like Sandhagen size. And his Achilles heel has always been that, despite being a boxer by preference, he prefers his distance a little further out. He has terrible takedown defense, and just so people have had, pretty good success just by coming straight at him and taking him down. And that's why this was a great matchup with Raul Rosas Jr., because Font doesn't have knockout power, so Rosas Jr. would haul him down sooner or later, and then it's showtime. But Martinez is a whole different challenge, because he wants a stand-up fight as well. He definitely is not as much of a conventionally disciplined boxer as Font is, but he's explosive and has a ton of power. I kind of like Martinez in the slight upset here. And this being a fairly recent, matchup change, there's a possibility that the line changes, but I don't even know if Martinez necessarily knocks Font out, though. As much damage as Font's taken, and him being 37 or 38, his chin could be starting to slip as well. But even if Martinez doesn't get him completely out of there, I think he's going to hit him cleanly and hard in at least 2 out of 3 rounds here and win just based on damage. And I think he could take Font down if he wanted to as well. But yeah, give me Martinez to win a fun slugfest. Slight upset here. Wins 2 out of 3 rounds.
Sorry, I didn't realize I had my I didn't have my mic muted. I was like shuffling. I couldn't find where I put the Martinez notes, so I was shuffling all over the place. I apologize about that. It's funny because usually when you get someone like with the name of Martinez getting pumped up to face Rob Font, you're disappointed, especially because I was intrigued by the Rojas challenge to see how that was going to go. But in a different way, I'm intrigued by this contest too. Like, he doesn't have the name of Rojas, but I think he's promising. So I'm not super disappointed in the change. Now, Font, obviously, you broke him down right, but he's a striker who fights out of both stances. His output against Gene Matsumoto was great, and that usually isn't his game. He usually is not a volume striker. He's usually a technical boxer. I will say that I think his boxing is overrated. He has a traditional high guard defense. I think he's losing some hand speed. His jab is not what's not overrated. It's like the cornerstone of his game. He wants to fight a very Sean Strickland type fight where it's jabbing outside, not a lot of damage. He really either fighter, and he's just jabbing and he kind of cruises to victory. Though he recently, I mean, against Matsumoto, he's been fighting with a lot more pressure, which is something good to see. He sets up his right hand, which is accurate. He uses feints to kind of distract, and then he lands that right hand. When he throws combinations, he's got some decently fast combinations. One thing I do like about his boxing, he's good at wrapping his right hand around his opponent's pillaring. Despite knocking out Adrian Yanez, he isn't really known for his power. I like that he has been looking for elbows inside, which is something we haven't seen in this game before. He will target the body. His kicks, on the other hand, have completely disappeared over the years. Defensively, he lacks head movement. I don't trust his chin anymore, too. He's been hurt a lot. He will sneak in some offensive takedowns. I mean, he took down Sergio Pettis. I mean, that was a long time ago, but Ricky Simone, Cody Garbrandt, he's taking those guys down. He likes body lock slam. I mean, the Garbrandt fight was a really long time ago, too. I'm just throwing some names out there. But he likes some body lock slams. He's a terrible defensive wrestler, though. He's one of the worst in the UFC. He's been taken out 22 times in the last 4 fights combined. He makes it worse because he'll jump guillotine. Now, his get-up game used to be really bad, but it is getting better. We've seen him get up against Davidson Figueiredo and Gene Matsumoto. He also shows no urgency though when he's on his back and when he's playing BJJ. That's stuff that has been an issue of the past. He does have 4 subs on his record though. Martinez, he's Melissa Martinez's brother. What I like is that of the two, he's the promising one. And usually, if you have a brother sister thing, it's usually the sister that's the promising prospect, just because of pure like numbers game of the amount of people that are in MMA compared to men. I like this kid. I like what I see of this kid. He's a really good athlete, beautiful footwork. He's a get in and get out type fighter. He wants to land and get out before he gets countered. He closes distance really quickly. He understands range really well. He uses feints to set up his shots. He's got good volume. He uses movements well to get his opponent kind of chase him, and then he kind of like moves directly into his counter right hand, kind of lines him up. Fast hands. He's got, like I said, he's got a good right hand, nice lead left hook. He has nice power. He has 10 TKOs on his record. He'll throw some spinning attacks. I like his kicking game. Nice switch kick. Likes a lead hook kick, which we don't see often. Tons of calf kicks. Not much of an offensive wrestler, but he's a decent defensive wrestler. So it was pretty good takedown defense. No subs on his record, but his cardio is great. So I love this fight. I think this is a massive step up in competition for Martinez. Font is more experienced and he has faced way better competition. That said, I love Martinez. I think he's ready. I think his hand speed is going to be an advantage. I think even bigger is going to be his kicks. I think he's going to batter Font's legs, move. I think Font is going to actually try to wrestle, but I think he's going to be too slow. I think Martinez. This is going to be his coming out party. So I don't know how many we've taken a lot of upsets, consensus upset. I don't know how many, 4 or 5, but
we've each taken 5, and 4 of them were unanimous.
Well, let's add another one. So give me Martinez by decision.
Beautiful. With that, we come to the main event of Noche UFC, a featherweight matchup between Diego Lopes and John Silva. Lopes, the 30-year-old Brazilian by way of Mexico, 26-7 overall, 5-2 in the UFC. He dropped his UFC debut, stepping in on short notice and actually giving Movsar Evloev a hell of a time. He then strung together 5 wins in a row to propel himself kind of into the outer edges of contention before running into Alexander Volkanovski in the headliner of UFC 314 back in April. That would be for the vacant title, and he got frankly outclassed by the former, now again, champ. He's looking to show that he is still a top contender, and in order to do so, he's going to have to get past Silva. 28-year-old Brazilian is 16-2 overall. He's 5-0 in the UFC. He's already fought twice this year. He knocked out Melsik Bagdasaryan in February, then came back in April at the same UFC 314 and choked out Bryce Mitchell in the second round. So perhaps the hottest still rising contender in the division. Definitely a man with a lot on his shoulders as the last man standing of the Fight Nerds this month. Silva is, however, favored to get it all done. He is a big favorite here. In fact, he's minus 270, Lopez plus 220. Keith, I'm going to flip this to you.
Please don't.
Will the real Diego Lopez please stand up? You know, let's start. Yeah.
I think both guys are really good. I mean, I'm super fans of both of them. That's why I wasn't trying to diss Gene Silva when I made a face when you said the betting line. It's just like, wow, I honestly didn't know who's going to be the favorite because I mean, I know that when someone comes off a loss, people will tend to really give up on them, but he lost to Alex Volkanovski. Alex Volkanovski is arguably, and I'm just saying, I mean, debate how you want it, but it's either him or Jose Aldo for greatest featherweight of all time. And he continues to strengthen his argument. Diego Lopez is good. I mean, he's a very big featherweight. He's well-rounded. He's got some fast hands. He's explosive, tight boxing. He attacks with combinations, short, clean punches. He's great in the pocket. He attacks with combinations. I love his left hook. He's shown in countless fights he has power. That's because he really steps in the shot. The problem is he wasn't doing it against Volkanovski. He was giving Volkanovski too much respect in that fight. And as the fight got later, he started having success because he finally was just like, oh, screw this. This is the fight I'm going to lose. And it was kind of too late for him. He's shown his power. I mean, he gets really mean uppercuts. He blasted Sedriques Yusuf with an uppercut. He hurt Dan Ige with some uppercuts. Mean calf kicks. I mean, beat the shit out of Brian Ortega's legs with calf kicks. For an elite fighter, he doesn't move his head enough. That's something that is probably a big weakness of his. He isn't much of an offensive wrestler, but he's a very good defensive wrestler. I mean, Pat Sabatini struggled to get down. So did Alex Volkanovski. That's like one of the positives they had. And then he, one time when Sabatini was trying to take him down, he hit him with he threw him on his head with a freaking whizzer kick. He's a really, really dynamic grappler. BJJ black belt, competes in high level competitions. He's a serious submission threat. I think he's got like 12 subs on his record. Chains subs together well. He had Evloev in one of the deepest arm bars you'll ever see that he changed to like knee bars a bunch of times in those subs. He subbed Gavin Tucker in their fight. He jumps guillotine, which is always dangerous, but it's crazy fast. He showed that he could hang on the ground with Brian Ortega, which is obviously really impressive. The one issue I have with his BJ is sometimes he'll play off of his back too much. Now, Gene Silva, on the other hand, fantastic athlete, good movement. He's a pressure striker that constantly forces his opponent back. He's a really good striker, good output on the feet. He likes to sit on the outside, and then suddenly he bursts into the pocket and he throws hard shots. He has fast hands, explosive. He's accurate. I love his hooks. His left hook is great. He likes elbows inside. He also has really big power. I think he's got 12 TKOs. Now he can telegraph his shots sometimes, loading up too much. But I'll go back to like the Melsik Bagdasaryan fight. He outstruck Bagdasaryan, which is super impressive. Now he does carry his hands low, which is dangerous. I love his step and knees. He's got some good high kicks. He isn't much of an offensive wrestler, but he has shown that he's really hard to take down. And if taken down, he pops right back up. Now, when he decides to grapple, he's an insane grappler. I mean, he only has 3 submission wins, but he's got a great guillotine. He's got a great ninja choke. I mean, Bryce Mitchell easily, which is super impressive. And he's shown when he's gone deep in the fights, he's got good cardio. I think this fight is incredible. It should be a pickup. This is one of those fights I don't want to make a pick because I'm so excited just to watch it happen that I don't want to sit there and like root for something. I just want to like, I was watching, I'm not comparing these guys to them at that level, but I was watching the Sunday Night Football last night. I don't know if you saw it, but like the Ravens or the Bills, and just watching Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen go at it. And like, I didn't really have any, I had a couple of them in fantasy, but like my fantasy games weren't coming down to it. The scores I'm not a fan of either team, obviously. And I'm just watching them, and it was just so fun just to watch these two guys. I'm like, geez, this is what's great about football. And like, that's how I feel about these guys. Now, I'm not saying that, Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson are probably the two best players in the league, but I'm not saying they're that. But my point is like, that's what I just want to do. I just want to watch these guys work and see. I think grappling exchanges would be freaking fantastic between these two. I'm gonna go with Silva with zero confidence in my pick, and it just comes down to the stand up. I think he is the one that if he was gonna land a harder shot can knock him out, which is kind of crazy because we've seen Diego Lopez knock guys out. But it's something about Gene Silva when he connects and he flatlines guys. He's so fast, so dynamic. I'm gonna say he lands something late. Give me Lopez, maybe third round to catch something. Silva to catch Lopez in the third round. Give me Silva by third round TKO.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this one as well. And I think part of the line might be just down to how Lopez lost to Volkanovski. But maybe that's just a reminder of how good Alexander Volkanovski is.
Yeah, he might be a top 5 fighter of all time. Maybe.
Yeah.
Top 10 for sure.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you that I would love to see some grappling here. And honestly, the more time they spend on the ground, I think the more it favors Lopez. Like, not because Silva can't handle himself on the ground, like he clearly can, but Lopez is so tricky and so opportunistic. And for whatever time they're down there, that's time that they're not on the feet. Because for as much as I am excited to see the exchanges on the feet between these guys, Silva physically can replicate a lot of what Alexander Volkanovski was doing to frustrate Lopez on the feet. He can replicate a lot of that, but then he also brings some weapons that Volkanovski frankly doesn't have. Like the pop that Silva has on his shots like reminds me more of like Ilia Topuria type stuff, where just everything hurts. And it's not from overswinging. It's just because he's like that athletic and powerful and like throws with proper mechanics. That's the difference in the fight to me as well. I think both guys are going to have their moments. This fight's probably going to be a hell of a lot of fun for however long it lasts. But especially it being a 5-round fight, if neither guy has a serious gas tank problem, the longer fight tends to favor the more dynamic finisher. They just have that much longer they have to get it done. The other guy has that much longer they have to be, if not perfect, at least fundamentally sound. Did you say third round? That I'm not going to be different just to be different. I think, again, this is going to be an absolute blast. I only hope we get some great sequences on the ground, but Silva will catch Lopez on the feet. I mean, they'll probably both tag each other, but Silva is just a much harder hitter on a shot-for-shot basis. It catches up to Lopez eventually. I think it's in the third round as well. Give me John Silva to remain undefeated in the UFC and kind of make his case for a title shot sometime in the next year or so with a win in the Noche UFC headliner. And that has been the Sherdog Radio Network preview for UFC Fight Night 259, Lopez versus Silva, also known as Noche UFC. I've been Ben. He has been Keith. If this is your first time watching or listening, thank you. We hope you enjoyed it. We were pretty efficient tonight, but normally we bring you a mix of in-depth analysis and occasional story time or in-jokes or whatever that we think is pretty unique in this space. Please do like, subscribe. Neither of those things cost you anything. They make our bosses happy. They allow us to keep bringing you this content free of charge. Please drop us a comment. Keith and I both man the comment section. We'd love to hear your take on these fights. We picked a bunch of upsets tonight, including 4 unanimous upsets. Our average is pretty good on those, but if you think we missed out on any, let us know, because if you're right and we're wrong, we will give you all your flowers on the recap. Just got to.
That's gonna be the record for us, though. 4 in one night. That's gotta be the record.
We'll see how it goes.
I don't say we got 4 right, but I'm saying 4 of us picked.
Come rejoice or lament with us. Join us. We're live on the Sherdog YouTube page right after the main event. We'll talk about all 14 of these fights in reverse order, from the headliner on down to the tough finale in the opener. We'll talk about what was good, what was bad, what was surprising, what was controversial. There's always something. We'll talk about what's next for some of the notable winners as well as losers, and we'll talk with you. The live chat is open that whole time, so we are taking your questions, your comments, and your hot takes in real time. We have a growing community of friends that hang out with us after the fights, and we would love for you to be part of it. Between now and then, thank you once again for listening. Enjoy the rest of your week, and by all means, enjoy these fights.